Hey guys, it's Penguin here, and welcome back to another gold making video. In today's video, we're going to be covering the topic and idea of cancel scanning. Now, cancel scanning is one of the most important techniques that you should at least learn about and understand as a gold maker. Now, whether you choose to cancel scan or not, that is completely up to you, and there's really no right answer. It completely depends on your gameplay style. However, learning about it, understanding how it works, is super important. And that is exactly what we're going to be doing in today's video. We're first going to talk about what exactly cancel scanning actually is, why it's important, a few things to consider, and lastly, I'm going to be showing you some live demos and tips at the very end of this video. Now, of course, if you are a more advanced gold maker, you likely already know about the subject. However, a few tips at the end may still spark your interest. Of course, if you're a beginner, I highly recommend watching through, but you can always skip around if you need to. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching my videos. I truly do appreciate it, and if you guys enjoy this and find it useful, leaving a like would help the video out so much, and if you guys want to see more of my content, please consider subscribing. But everybody, thank you so much, and here we go. And so to get started, we're first going to talk about exactly what cancel scanning is. And to do this, let's first just talk about the term canceling. And honestly, it just means what it sounds like. It is the exact opposite of posting. So instead of adding items onto the auction house, you are removing items off the auction house. This can be through many different methods, but canceling simply just means removing items off the auction house. Now, when we talk about cancel scanning, we are talking about this process of canceling, but most likely we are talking about the TSM version. And to clarify, TSM is a very popular gold making add-on called Trade Skill Master, and we will be referring to this add-on throughout this video, so just a heads up. But with that being said, cancel scanning is referring to that TSM scan, which checks all of the items on your auction house, and if it is no longer at the top of the stack, then it will remove it. That will make more sense in just a second, but cancel scanning strictly just refers, most likely, to the TSM action. And that is really it for definitions. So as long as you understand that canceling is the opposite of posting, we're going to move on to part 2, which is why this is so important. And to demonstrate why this is so important, we're going to talk about how the auction house actually works. And first of all, do keep in mind that I'm referring to the retail auction house. If you are a classic player, the auction house does not work like this. But currently, the retail auction house is a last in, first out system, meaning that if you are the last person to post an item, that will be on the top of the list and will be bought first. So let's say we are looking at the auction house, and let's say we are selling potions. So I craft up 50 potions, and I want to post it on the auction house. So I go to the auction house, whether that's the default or TSM, and I post it. The auction house currently works that you can match the exact price, so I do not have to change the min value, and I will be put on top of the stack. So everybody is now underneath me, and I am first up on the list. So let's say a buyer comes and wants to purchase 20 potions, our potions will be bought first. And the reason why cancel scanning is so important is because of this auction house system. So let's say you posted your potions, we posted our potions about 2 minutes ago, and a competitor walks by. Now the competitor opens up the auction house, posts their potions for the exact same price, and now they are on top of us. So we are no longer at the top of the list, we have competitor potions on top of ours. And the only way we would get back to the top is if the potions above ours got bought out. So in response to this, what we decide to do is remove our initial potions off the auction house. So we cancel the auction, we pick it up in the mailbox, and then we proceed to repost. What we have just done is we have put ourselves back at the top of the queue, so now, yet again, we are first in line to get the sale. And as you guys can probably imagine, this gets very, very competitive. So especially if you are on the full pop servers, this sort of undercutting, we like to call it, or being posted on top of, this can happen within 2 seconds, 2 minutes, 2 hours. It really just depends on the item and of course your server. So let's say we did initially post those potions for 12 hours. We posted them for 12 hours and we walked away. 5 minutes within our 12-hour posting, we had a competitor drop 100 potions. Then 2 minutes later, somebody else posted 100 potions, and so on. Within the first 5 minutes of our 12-hour post, we are no longer at the top, and we are buried. So basically, there is no chance of us getting a sale unless somebody crazy comes along and purchases a mass amount of potions. And this is why cancel scanning is so important and so prevalent nowadays with the current auction house. Because there is a constant fight to be at the top, there is a constant need to cancel and repost. Now, of course, this is not always a necessity. You can, of course, get potential sales without having to do this, but if somebody comes along and posts on top of you, that is where the lack of sales occur. So yeah, to just recap, the cancel scanning mechanism is so important because of the auction house's last in, first out approach. Whoever is the last to post is the person who's going to receive sales first. So we are always in a constant battle to be on top. Now we're going to kind of shift into additional things to think about, because generally if we think about cancel scanning as just removing and reposting, the concept is pretty simple. However, there's a few things to keep in mind, especially with how the markets are at this current moment. So the first thing we need to discuss is deposit cost. And deposit cost is a fee that you have to pay whenever you post an item on the auction house. So if we go onto the auction house right now and decide to post a stack of lightless silk, as you can see, our deposit cost is 1 silver. However, if we were to, let's say, try and post a stack of silken protofiber, our deposit cost is a gold and 88 silver. And this deposit cost is a percentage of the vendor value price. So if we hover over the silken protofiber, as we can see, you can sell this item to the vendor for 6 silver and 25 copper. And so the auction house takes a percentage of that number and decides, all right, this is the deposit cost of that item. Now, to get more specific, the deposit cost depends on your duration and of course your vendor sell. So at a 12-hour duration, the deposit cost is 15% of the vendor sell value. If we up it to 24 hours, that becomes 30%, and lastly 48 hours becomes 60%. So right here, if we change our silken protofiber to 24 hours, as you can see, our deposit has practically doubled. Yet again, if we move it to 48, yet again, it has doubled. So the duration is very important to keep in mind. The second very important thing to know about deposit cost is that you do not receive the deposit back if the item doesn't sell. So whether your auction is canceled, which is something we're going to do, or it expires, meaning the time limit is up and nobody bought it, you will not receive your deposit back. So for example, if I post this stack of 200 right here, and I try to cancel it before it gets bought out, there we go. I have basically just costed myself 2 gold, and that is 2 gold I will not receive back. So a very important thing to keep in mind is if you are somebody who is going to be canceling, like we just did, you want your duration to be 12 hours, because there's no reason to pay double or quadruple the deposit fee, because you're going to be canceling it in less than 12 hours anyways. With that being said, the other most important thing is to be mindful of how many times you're cancel scanning. So for example, right here with silken protofiber, we can cancel this multiple times before our deposit cost truly adds up. You know, if we canceled this 100 times, we would still only lose about 200 gold in value. So that really just doesn't make a dent in our profit. However, if we were to try to post something like these gauntlets, because these have a higher vendor price, right now these vendor for 42 gold, they are going to have a way higher deposit. So this single item is going to cost us 6 gold to deposit. So of course, thankfully, this item has a huge profit margin, but if this profit margin was only, let's say, 50 gold, 6 gold losing every time we cancel adds up quickly. You know, if we cancel this 7 times, that is 42 gold loss, which only leaves us with 8 gold profit. If we cancel one more, we're basically breaking even. So it is very important to make sure your deposit costs aren't super high. Normally, you would only run into this issue with gear, as well as raw items with high vendor values. Raw gems are a very good example of very high deposit cost. The next biggest thing to keep in mind is that Blizzard has put an auction house throttle onto the auction house that you basically can't get rid of. And this normally occurs whenever you cancel about 40 to 50 items, then the throttle kind of kicks in, and you will see a long pause between cancels. And normally people think, oh no, my TSM is slowing down, or oh no, I have bad connection, but this is just an artificial throttle that Blizzard has put in place. Originally, this throttle was put in to stop bots, which is very good, and to give the default auction house people a little bit more of an advantage, but because we also use TSM, which does a lot of actions per minute, it hits us as well. Now, like I kind of said before, you can't really get around this. If you try to cancel and push through the throttle will just get slower and slower until it is just absolutely painful. So my simple suggestions would be, take a break between cancel scanning. If you hit the throttle, post your auctions, leave for a few minutes and come back, or you can get a little bit more picky with what you're cancel scanning. This will be talked about more in our live demo, but let's say you're canceling 10 different types of items, maybe reduce that to 8 or 5, and your cancel scan will be a lot smaller. And one more final disclaimer that I wanted to talk about is kind of the current situation with TSM and commodities. So right now, ever since the region-wide merge of commodities, which happened in 9.2.7, TSM has been very slow, just because of how Blizzard has changed their API and how fast commodities are moving since it's region-wide. TSM just has no ability to keep up unless Blizz fixes things on their side. With that being said, commodities always are super slow to cancel and post using TSM. So if you guys are trying to cancel commodities being stackable items, I highly recommend not using TSM, which I will get into in a little bit, or just know that it is in fact slow. It's not just you, it is currently everybody. And alright, here is the final tutorial section, which I will be breaking down 3 different types of cancel scanning. The first one is just simple cancel scanning, which I want to talk about right now. So normally what you would do on the auction house, you would open up your TSM and you will select the groups that you want to post. For example, right now I was posting legendaries, old world mounts, and I was selling the trinkets from Inscription, the Dark Moon decks. So that is currently what I have selected. Of course, if I hit a post scan, anything in my bags will get posted. I don't know if I have anything. There we go. I can post 1 cape, and there we go. We have run an official post scan. So now what we're just going to simply do is run a cancel scan. It's the same exact thing. It's yet again going to target our selected groups, and it is going to check each auction. It's first going to check, alright, has somebody posted on top of me or after me? And if so, is that new price still within our posting operation parameters? And so as we can see, a lot of these things are actually not undercut. So I have plenty of auctions that have not been undercut, which it says in green. I have some auctions which they have in fact been undercut, but they're not going to be canceled because they are below my minimum price, which is good. And then right here, we have some that are actually undercut. And so just to give you a clearer picture, let's look up the Shadowghast ring to see what this looks like. So if we go right here to Shadowghast ring, if I could spell it properly, here we go. And as you can see, right here are my posted auctions. So clearly we have Zinfin as well as Scenario, who has posted on top of me. I am no longer first in queue, so TSM suggests me to cancel these items to repost. I go through the list, then go to my mailbox. They will show up here. You can click this handy button right here to only loot your canceled. There we go. And all we have to simply do is hit the post scan once again. Then of course it will go through that same sort of process. As you can see, we will be undercutting that person, Scenario, who is posted before us. And perfect. We have just run a successful post and cancel scan. Now, what I was alluding to earlier is that commodities are very slow to post and cancel scan. So what I recommend doing is getting the add-on Auctionator. Auctionator is a little bit of a less kind of complex auctioning add-on, but I love it for their canceling interface. For example, a current commodity that I'm selling is the fresh Talbuck meat. Normally, what I would have to do is what I just did. I would have to go to auctions. I would have to sort through this list to find the said auction I'm looking for, click here, hit cancel, confirm, and then it's finally over. Normally, it's not that bad because I only have one thing posted, but imagine if I was doing that with bags, it would be a very big pain to consistently click here, hit accept, etc. So that is where Auctionator comes in. First of all, you can click the undercut scan and it will check to see what needs to be canceled. But what I like to do is you can just simply search the item you're looking for and then just click on it. And there we go, it has been canceled. So to anybody out there who is struggling with commodities, and then once again, we can just right click and repost, and there we go. So if you guys are struggling with commodities, even with a case of these deep sea bags, you can of course use TSM. But if you're somebody who doesn't want to, you can go to cancel, type in deep sea, and then just, click to your heart's desire. Sometimes it will get slower as, there is the throttle. It's also affected by that. But if you kind of just spam click, slowly all of these bags will get canceled. And then yet again, go to the mailbox and you can loot them and repost them. Now, the second tip that I have is I am speaking to all of the high pop players who are struggling with gear. So if you are somebody who plays on a high pop or full pop who is consistently getting undercut with gear, this is for you. So if you guys use my free profile, first of all, you can find it in the Discord, but let's say you post multiple different stacks of gear. Let's say we just go through. Here we go, this belt, for example. I have 5 on the auction house, and they have all been undercut. So what I would have to do is go in TSM. We can deselect everything besides novice gear, run a cancel scan, and this will be a very long scan, and we will be, canceling a ton of different items. Now, normally this is simply okay, because we always want to make sure to repost, but we have to remember the issue of deposit cost. So we can see here every single item that we are about to cancel, we are going to lose their deposit cost fee. And normally for these items, it's pretty expensive. It's, on the low end, maybe 6 gold a piece. On the high end, we could have a deposit cost of even 20 gold a piece. And what happens is because we are posting in a large group, we are wasting so much gold on these fees. To give you a better example, we're just going to pause because we have enough right here. Let's look at these shoulders. All 4 of these shoulders were posted at the exact same time. So as long as one person comes and, post on top, all 4 of them are buried and needs to be canceled. If we run our cancel scan to get them back in our inventory, we can see how much gold we just wasted by canceling those items. That was a total of 22 gold that we had to, remove from the auction house. Now, the issue is if you are on a full pop server, you have probably found that you post these items, and then within, 2 minutes, even less, you are undercut, which of course means that you have to cancel them yet again. The biggest issue is, of course, you're losing 22 gold each time you do this, which is cutting into your profits, and also it just takes a very long time. So what I recommend doing is going into your operation, and for example, this one is under the green crafters, and as you will notice, our post cap is 5. And that is because we are crafting 5 of these items, so it's posting 5 all at once. But what I recommend doing is changing this to 1. And so now, if we go and post these on the auction house, it is going to perform just like it normally does, but instead of posting every single item, it's only going to post 1 of each. So now we have a shoulders on the auction house, but if we get undercut, we will be immediately able to post again. And if we get undercut, we are not having to cancel 4 items, we only have to cancel 1. Now I do apologize, I am on a slower server, so I cannot, actually do this in real time. But let's say you post this, you come back 5 minutes later, and it's undercut. All you have to do is go back here and run another post scan. At this current moment, because we're not undercut, it says maximum amount already posted. But if I were in fact undercut, it would allow me to post yet again. And what this means is not only can you post up to 5 times before you have to run a single cancel scan, you are not losing 22 gold every single time you're undercut. You are only losing 5. So hopefully that makes sense. Not only does this mean it's faster to do, you are also saving on a ton of gold. Once again, I don't know if I will be able to replicate this. Yes, because I'm not going to get undercut, but trust me, this is one of the best ways to do it if you're on a full pop server. And alright, the final tip I want to talk about is commodities. So throughout this video, I have mentioned that TSM and commodities are just not agreeing with each other. It is very slow. So how do we actually solve this issue? And I simply use the default UI in Auctionator. However, there's a specific method that I use. For the case of this video, I have crafted about 40 enchants, and because this is a region-wide commodity that normally has a lot of competition, we're going to use this as an example. Normally what somebody would do is you just right-click this, you post it up, you're going to post all of them because you want to sell all of them. Of course, we have a little bit of a deposit fee, and we hit create. And then, we hope that item sells. And there we go, we actually did get a sale, which is amazing. But within a few minutes, we are likely to either continue to get sales, or we most likely will get undercut. And there we go, right there within probably less than a minute, we have officially been undercut. Yes, we got 3 sales in the meantime, but, we are no longer receiving sales. And that person is actually receiving the sales we could have had. Now, normally what we would have to do is, that person got bought out, but imagine we are still undercut. There we go. Normally what we have to do is click cancel, accept, go to our mailbox, loot the mailbox, especially you may have to walk to the mailbox if you're at a traditional auction house, and then yet again, we right click, post, and that can be a very long process, especially if you're posting 200 potions, 1,000 potions, 1,000 materials, whatever it is. So what I recommend doing is posting in smaller quantities. So in this scenario, let's say we post up 7. Not only is this a cheaper deposit cost, but this allows us to not have to cancel. So right there, immediately after, we already have somebody posting in front of us. So instead of having to go through this cancel and mailbox process, I can just right click this and hit post. There we go, I have 10 more, and now I'm in front, and boom, I am getting sales. Now, of course, what will likely happen is I will either sell out, or somebody will come and once again undercut me. There we go, somebody has done so. So yet again, instead of having to click this and hit cancel, all we have to do is go here, maybe we type in 5, and we post. Once again, we are now on top, and we will be getting the first sales. Now you can choose, if you have 200 enchants, you can post 20 at a time. I'm only working with 40 enchants, so I'm doing very small values. But right here, once again, we were able to grab a sale for staying on top. Once again, we're undercut, and you kind of understand the situation. Basically, you post in smaller quantities, so instead of having to post and cancel and loot, all you have to do is post and repost and repost. Right here, there we go. Now, of course, eventually we're going to run out of items. Normally, this is where we would have to, once again, click here, hit cancel, cancel, and that's just a long process. So instead of doing that, let's first wait to get undercut. There we go. This is where we use our trusty, dusty auctionator. So we go right here, type in that enchant, and we just spam them all real quick. It's not always perfect. There we go. Loot them up, and now we're good to go for a second round. Right there, we just repost. Boom, we have another stack. And right there, we just got a sale. So I know this is a very long and repetitive process, but I hope this makes sense. Now, do you have to babysit your auctions this much? No. However, the more you babysit, the more potential sales you're going to get. I understand not everybody's going to want to do this, but if you're trying to sell something off fast, this is a very common way that people do to make gold. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I know this was a longer video, but I hope it does make sense. If you guys are a beginner, hopefully the cancel scanning meta and the cancel scanning kind of scenario makes a lot more sense. And if you are a more advanced gold maker, hopefully one of these ending tips could be useful to you. Now, one big thing I want to say is you never have to cancel scan. Cancel scanning simply allows you to be put back on the top of the queue, meaning that you are likely to get more potential sales. This is not required, however, it does in fact help. So if you are somebody who does not want to cancel scan, you don't want to sit on the auction house, or you physically can't for work, you don't have time, etc., that is okay. There are still plenty of ways to make gold, it's just for the people out there who want to maximize, this is the way to do it. As always, everybody, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. And of course, if you have any additional suggestions, let me know, and it will really help all of the beginners out there. As always, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I highly recommend joining the Discord if you want to be a part of our amazing community. And as always, have a great day.